So the other type of slope field question that you're going to see on Delta Math are going to be a multiple choice based question, which I really like because they are very similar to what you're going to see on an AP test. So they'll give you a slope field, and then they'll give you four options for the differential equation. And your job is to figure out which equation matches the given picture. So let me just give you some tips to help with these. First thing I like to do is I like to look and see where do you have potentially a zero slope or an undefined slope. And so what you'll notice is you get a zero slope when x is 3. So looking at your choices, this first one, when you put 3 in for x, you would get a zero slope. So that's still in the running. Same for the second one, not the third one. So this one I'm throwing out right away, and not the last one. These two, when you put 3 in for x, you get an undefined slope. So just by looking at that alone, I know it's either the first one, A, we'll call this A, and then B. So then we want to look at the positive and negative slopes. So if I look at a number that is bigger than 4 with a positive, let's see, the positive x value bigger than 4 and a positive y value, I get a positive slope. So if I put in something like 4, 1, I get a positive slope here, I get a positive here, but then this is going to negate it, and this is going to actually give me a negative slope. That's not what's happening here. We're getting a positive slope. So now let's go here and see, well, if I put in like 4, 1, I get a positive slope. If I go down here, if I put in 4, negative 1, that's going to give me a negative slope, which is exactly what's happening here. I can also look over on the left side of the graph when I have like a negative x and a negative y to see what's happening, or a negative x and a positive y to see what's happening. But usually it only takes a couple points, maybe one in each quadrant, to narrow it down. So I'm going to say it's this one and submit my answer. And what they do is they kind of like, you can hover again and it will show you, like, if you pick this point, what's the slope going to be? If you pick this point, what's the slope going to be? So it gives you comes in different options. I like, again, to look at a point maybe in each quadrant. So let me show you one more. All right, so this one has a zero slope right along the x-axis. So that's everywhere that y equals 0. So when y equals 0, we have a zero slope. That is possible for the first one. It's possible for the second one. Third one, fourth one. All right, well, that didn't help me much. X equals 0, I have an undefined slope. That's true here, not here, here, and here. So I've only gotten rid of one so far. So it's either A, C, or D. So let's see what happens when I have a positive X and a positive Y. So that is over here, positive X and a positive Y. I have a negative slope. These all look like negative slopes. So positive x, positive y, negative slope. That's true for A. That's not true for this one, because this would give me positive all around. And that's true for this one, because that would make it negative. So now it's either A or D. So let's look in the second quadrant. So when I have a negative x and a positive y, I'm getting a negative slope. So a negative x and a positive y, that's a negative slope. That works. A negative x and a negative y would actually give me a negative slope here, because I would still have a negative. Well, that's what I want. I want a negative x and a negative y. Sorry, negative x and a positive y gives me a negative slope. So that's true. That didn't help. Thought I was at something. All right, so how about a negative x and a negative y gives me a negative slope. Negative x and a negative y, that actually would give me a positive slope, because these negatives would cancel. So I think it's this one. There we go. And again, you can hover over any point you want and it will tell you about the slope. It'll tell you when it's vertical, it'll tell you when it's horizontal. So that's how you do the matching. And I think the best way to go is look for zero slopes, look for undefined slopes, so your vertical and horizontal, and then look in each quadrant and look at the comparison between positive and negative slopes. So that is how we match a slope field to a given differential equation.